All right, post league wrap up. Yeah, sorry about getting a little bit frustrated at the end there, but I don't even know if there's anything to need to apologize for, because that deck is that it's not really the deck's fault per se. I actually think we're just frustrated at our draws, but I mean, it's also just like those decks always seem to draw what they need to do. Need to draw, I mean, and I don't know. Anyway, at the end of the day, like I've said, I think this version is about as well equipped to deal with decks like the Timber Waterfalls deck, or even for that matter, the Creativity combo deck. It's just, yeah, you just can't necessarily always deal with all of them. So many decks are attacking removal nowadays too. So felt like we had black-red mid-range firmly under control. Amulet Titan actually might be a solid matchup too, because we just have so much hard removal. Running them out of their Titans and their win cons, might be a real possibility. Humans, they took a game off of us, but humans feels pretty favorable with all this Ephemerate shenanigans and Skyclave Apparitions and all that going on. Plus the Path to Exiles from the board. So, yeah, I think I do like how this deck plays. We did put up the good fight against the Timber Waterfalls deck. Game 2 doesn't count. That was just us mana flooding. That could happen to any deck. We also put up a surprisingly good fight against Creativity, more so in I think the first game. Well, actually we won the first game. More so I guess in the second game. I don't know. My memory is the games were pretty close. But anyway, yeah, and Timber Waterfalls. When we're not mana flooding out, those are pretty close games. I mean, we really, and honestly, we were just like one Ephemerate away most of the time from being able to clear most of their board. So what can you do, right? But anyway, I'm not really sure what else to say. Just I think the deck is solid. It doesn't have the insane amount of free wins that Blood Moon does in Obosh, and it doesn't necessarily, Chalice also has a lot of free wins in Merfolk. So yeah, try this Merfolk build again sometime. It's fun, but Merfolk has its issues too. It's really sweet, but man, the thing about Mono Red is just that it's really Blood Moon was the key actually, and I know we're not this isn't a post league for Obosh, but I think the reason why Obosh has just been such my consistently best performing deck is just that Blood Moon really was the key for a mono red non burn aggro type strategy, or I should say mono red mid range type strategy. Because without Blood Moon, you just it's hard to go for the late game, because you don't really have much of an answer to a lot of random combos, a lot of which involve lands actually. Sometimes even ad nauseum has a greedy mana base. Blood Moon just solves a lot of, I shouldn't say solves, but Blood Moon gives you a fighting chance in a lot of matchups you'd otherwise be cold in, and is your answer against a lot of decks like Scapeshift and other things. And yeah, I mean, Blood Moon really was the answer for that deck, while also just sometimes being a free win. Yeah, it's just no other deck has kind of that combination of a kind of one card I win combo. I mean, like a one card I win button with also, with also just a great early game, a great late game. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think this deck has a pretty good. This deck has not. This deck actually can have a great defensive early game, not necessarily the greatest offensive early game. But it does have some advantages. It's got way better graveyard hate in the form of Rest in Peace, so that is one advantage. It's also probably got it might have a slightly better Amulet matchup, although I think both of them at this point have pretty good matchups. Yeah, see, maybe I'm just missing it, but it's just hard for me to think of that many matchups that that this deck has a better chance against than Obosh. For example, Humans, excellent matchup for Obosh. Amulet Titan, good matchup. They can still steal some wins, but I think we're favored now with 6 to 8 Blood Moons plus Ragavan to hit it on turn 2. Probably we're 55 to 60% favored, which is excellent. I've never felt this favored. They're always a very powerful deck, even with Blood Moon. Black-red mid-range. Yeah, Obosh takes it, I think, too. We're probably like 60%, 65% favored. Kroxa is the only real problem, but Relic's out of the board can help with that, and even in the main deck, sometimes you can just get around them, attack through, burn face, whatever. Yeah, creativity. Not gonna lie, the burn decks can struggle a little bit with those two. But I mean the prowess or Obosh type decks, but ultimately having burn spells just really really means that you have a lot more game against the planeswalkers. Tomorrow Waterfalls. Okay, Tomorrow Waterfalls probably this deck has a better matchup. I'm telling you, and I have actually beaten it in previous games. With actually versions that I think have a worse matchup, versions that like haven't played Path, versions that haven't played Ephemerate. All my versions played Solitude, but like, yeah, I've beat versions that have way worse effects. They don't have like these Haymaker cards that this one has. Yeah, I think Tomorrow Waterfalls is probably like a 55% favorable matchup probably for this deck, and it's probably like a 45% for Obosh Red because they grind better. If we had access to Ratchet Bomb, it might be more like 55 for Obosh, but without Ratchet Bomb, it's probably like 45 against, something like that. It's just yeah. Yeah, I mean the Flame Slashes, the Furies, definitely the Obosh deck. Yeah, that's what the Obosh deck is. I think only slightly disfavored, but it is probably, yeah. And Blood Moon doesn't always screw them over. I don't know. Maybe Obosh is about even. You know, maybe in like 49-51 maybe. I have beaten them a fair share of time, but I've also lost a fair share of time. So I guess there's that. Definitely, I think Merfolk has the best matchup with Chalice on 0. That's always fun. Anyway, I mean, we saw use of basically, we saw a lot of use of Sword of Body and Mind, and that's cool. I don't think in this league we saw a lot with Sword of Light and Shadow, but it comes up, and trust me, returning Solitude to your hand after you've exiled it, really, really good. Oh, Manriki Gusari, that didn't come up, but like against Hammer Time, against like opposing Stoneblade decks, which I don't think we played any. Yeah, we didn't play any, but against like opposing Stoneblade or, yeah, trust me, it's good. Yeah, I mean, there's honestly not that much I wanna change because the only matchups we lost against, honestly, the cards we're playing are probably the best in white that basically we can play anyway. So yeah, I don't know what to say other than just I really like the way this deck plays. The deck feels super synergistic, and not in a very taxi type way, but definitely in a very blinky way. Oh yeah, wasn't that cool with the Stoneforge Mystic trick? Like, using the ability, flickering it, ephemerating it, getting the sword and getting the Kaldra in our hand, and then using the ability. Yeah, I just really want a 4/1. I've very rarely gotten a 4/1 with this deck. To be fair, I've very rarely gotten worse than a 3/2 too. It feels like I always go 3/2 with this deck. Trust me, I had some other recorded leagues that I scrapped, both because, I don't know, man. If you I know I was getting frustrated this time. I was even getting more frustrated, and also sometimes lethargic in some of those other recorded games, because sometimes it just gets kind of demoralizing. Because like when you're really behind, you're like really behind with this deck. You're not always just a few burn spells away, possibly from winning. So, yeah. So long story short, I scrapped a couple of other recorded leagues, also because there was always some recording issue with a few videos in them, and I just didn't really feel like going over and recording those things. I'd rather just record a new one. Yeah. Yeah. Long story short, this deck is fun, and I shouldn't let the frustration get to me, because at the end of the day, a deck that pretty consistently 3/2s is still pretty decent. And if Death and Taxes players are honest with themselves, I think they'll admit, and it's very hard for us to be honest with ourselves. Like I'll be honest with Obosh Red. Right now, I'm on a win streak, but like I know it's a win streak. I know the deck is realistically, at best, more of a 4/1 type deck. I mean, if you have like a consistent 5/0 type deck, then basically something needs to get banned. And even then, maybe it's more like a 3.2, type deck. I don't know. I mean, I want to sing the praises for Obosh because definitely we're on a hot streak right now, you know. But yeah, maybe I shouldn't fault dedicated Death and Taxes players for believing that they have like a 5-0 type deck or even a 4-1 type deck. I just don't believe it, and obviously I'm a little bit biased in the sense that I guess since I have like another sort of main deck, I guess you could say I'm a little more objective, and maybe I'm a little more biased in favor of Obosh to make that assessment. But this deck has thoroughly felt like a 3-2 deck, and yeah, to be fair, maybe it's a 3.5 deck because I'm definitely still learning a lot, and definitely I'm still missing a lot of there's so many interactions, and especially Ephemerate just opens up even more interactions. Yeah, maybe like with more experience, it's like a 3.5 deck, but definitely it's in my hands. It's felt like a 3-2, type deck, and I meant 3.5 to 1.5 anyway. Yeah, it's felt like a 3-2 deck instead of a 3.5 to 1.5 type deck. Yeah, anyway, if you like this content, like and subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications, and yeah, I will continue to play, Mono Blade, Blink Blade. I can't guarantee it's going to stay Blink Blade. It might turn back into a more taxi version at some point. It might. I doubt it's going to turn into Hammer Time again, but I mean, it's not lost on me that the only time I've trophied so far is with a Hammer Time deck. But I also had like more than 1/0/4s with that Hammer Time deck. I also had a lot of 2/3s. I had a lot of 3/2s, and I had some 4/1s. But like I had a more losing record. I got to be honest. That Hammer Time version, I had a more losing record overall. But like definitely, yeah, I did probably get. I mean, I don't know if I played more than like 10 leagues, but I definitely got probably at least. I got probably as many 0/4s or 1/4s because sometimes you take a loss and then you go to 4. But yeah, I got probably about the same amount of X4s as I did 4/1s. And then I probably got as many 2/3s as I got 3/2s. And yeah, I got the 5-0, but I think when you average it all out, it's I think it's kind of a losing record. It's not like a losing record by a lot, but I think I did have a losing record, even though like I think I spiked more 4/1s. Yeah, I definitely spiked more 4/1s with that deck. But like it's just more inconsistent. And when it's on a roll, it's really on a roll. But man, like when it just like other than that game I cheesed Gabriel Nassif or whoever Bob the Dog is by winning on the clock, like you just cannot win against control. You just cannot win. And that was a good example of it because the only way I won that matchup was because of the clock. I mean, I guess I could go faster to try to cheese some wins by like sneaking in a hammer on like turn 1 on like 0 mana creatures, but I'm telling you, the more I tried to like make the deck more low to the ground, the worse I could, like the less grindy and the less I was able to even stall out the control games to win on time. I don't know what to say. That honestly feels like our best bet is winning on time because I don't even think that's the only time I won on time against control. It does happen. It's definitely not the only time period, but I mean I don't think it was the only time I won with hammer. But yeah, anyway. Yeah. All right. Yeah. But anyway, deck at least feels fairly consistent. It doesn't feel like it has any super bad matchups. It feels like it loses to itself more than anything. So I guess it's like kind of like Burn in that regard, where like if you draw perfect, then you have only a very very handful of bad matchups. It's like a deck that it's more like how well you draw rather than what type of matchup you hit. But anyway, I think that's about it for now. We'll see how this goes, but at least so far I'm happy with this list. So we'll see if anything changes. But for now, yeah. For now, let's keep trying, and we'll get back at it. So yeah, take care, everybody, and hope you enjoyed the content. And y'all have a great day.